Hello, Deep Six Wrestling fans, and shout out to this thunderstorm that's raging around me as I record this right now. I am your host, the glorious Robbie Rotten, and this is going to be another episode of Glorious or Rotten Rewind. This one is going to be about WrestleMania 15, which took place on March 28th, 1999, from the First Union Center in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. And I was actually aware of wrestling at this point in my life. I was like 9 years old, and I was actually watching. I was a big fan of what was going on. I didn't watch WrestleMania. I did probably first one probably wasn't for another year or two, but I was aware of the product, so it's actually kind of a nostalgic time for me. Um, and the America the Beautiful is back with Boys to Men singing it. I'm surprised that it's back this soon. I didn't think it was going to be around until after the Attitude Era was over, but here it is. Makes sense. Boys to Men's from Philly. They did a good job singing it, so whatever. And so many iconic things have happened between WrestleMania 14 and WrestleMania 15. It's just ridiculous how much stuff that you still see in clips and highlights today happened between these two events. You just see so much of it. Mankind's like epic title win on Raw. The Rock winning the championship for the first time in Survivor Series when McMahon screws over Foley. That happened. Foley being thrown off the top of the Hell in a Cell by Undertaker. That happened. So much good stuff. Tons of stuff with Austin and McMahon happened as well. So, just a plethora of iconic moments have happened between the last time that I've spoken to you guys about WrestleMania. Crazy to think about. So let's dive right in to WrestleMania 15. Bang bang. Match number one. We had a triple threat for the Hardcore Championship between the champion Billy Gunn and his challengers Al Snow and Hardcore Holly. And this is exactly what you'd expect. It was a brutal, hardcore match. The guys all beat the hell out of each other. The crowd popped really hard when Al Snow used a hockey stick because the Flyers play there, and Hockey Town. So it was fun. A fun match, nothing crazy, nothing special, but it was a fun way to open the card. I'm a big fan of hardcore matches. I really liked, I'm a big fan of most things Attitude Era, and that was just something that was very unique to the era, and I always loved it. So I'm not gonna say anything bad about hardcore match. Hardcore Holly gets the win when Billy Gunn hits a famouser on Al Snow on a chair, and Hardcore Holly hits him with said chair, and then takes him out and he pins Al Snow. Hardcore Holly pins Hardcore Holly. I would like to see that. Hardcore Holly pins Al Snow for the win, and he is the new Hardcore Champion. And yeah, this was alright. Very solid opener. Just fun stuff. I enjoy hardcore matches, so that's all I gotta say. The second match of the night is a tag team championship match between the champions, Owen Hart and Jeff Jarrett with Deborah, versus D'Lo Brown with Ivory and Test. And this was set up by it was like a weird battle royal on Sunday Night Heat, where the two last men in the battle royal would just be paired up to challenge for the tag team championships. Very strange, but whatever. It happened, and this wasn't terrible. It was all right. Owen Hart is a fantastic worker, and Jeff Jarrett's good, and D'Lo's pretty solid. So it was decent action between the ropes. This is actually Owen Hart's final WrestleMania appearance before his tragic death a couple months later, so that's a real shame. Lost him way too soon. And you know what? I'm not going to knock on this match too much. It was a really silly concept and a little bit of a silly setup, but the match itself delivered. And, the heels retain the championships when Owen Hart hits D'Lo Brown with a drop kick. He's going for like a power bomb on Jeff Jarrett, but he's not really paying attention to Hart. The ref's distracted with Deborah, and he hits a drop kick on D'Lo Brown, and Jeff Jarrett rolls up D'Lo for the win. And Test is nowhere to be found, so Test and D'Lo fight after the bell. So it just was kind of there. It's fine for what it was. Not gonna complain about it. And next up, we have the Brawl for All match between Butterbean and the winner of the Brawl for All tournament, Bart Gunn. The Brawl for All tournament was a concept where they matched up a bunch of guys that they thought were like legitimate tough guy fighters on the WWF roster and had them face off at a tournament. And they had a couple people that they wanted to maybe see go to the finals, maybe Dr. Death Steve Williams being the main person, and Bart Gunn just ran through them all and destroyed everybody. So his reward for winning the tournament, a match against a real fighter, a boxer, a real fighting guy, Butterbean, who poor Bart Gunn. Butterbean absolutely decimates him and wins in like 30 seconds. He hits him with a really nasty punch and just knocks Bart Gunn out. And this was just a bad idea. Definitely a rotten. This just rotten. Ill-conceived. I don't understand what the thinking was here. And then after, this weird chicken suit guy just came running out and danced, and then he mocked this other guy that was in the ring. I don't know, he was supposed to be some like famous fighter. I've never heard of him. And then the famous fighter guy just uppercutted him. And I don't know what's going on. Some weird chicken guy. No idea. Next up, we have the Big Show Paul White, back when he was known as Paul White, as his real name. I don't know why that stopped or why it was even a thing in the first place. Whatever. Versus Mankind, and the winner of this match gets to be the special guest referee in the main event WWF Championship match. And it was short and kind of lackluster. Big Show was pretty limited this early in his run. But Mankind made the best of it and sold really well for show. And it actually ended in disqualification when Big Show chokeslammed Mankind through two chairs that he set up in the middle of the ring. And then Vince McMahon came out and yelled at Big Show because he wanted Big Show to be the referee. So he was yelling at him, telling him he's stupid, he's nobody. And Show has enough and punches out Vince McMahon and then goes to the back. They're really selling that Mankind's injured, so he was taken off on a stretcher. He was sent to the hospital, so they don't know who the ref's going to be for the main event now. So I don't know what's going to happen. We'll find out later on. Match was just kind of there. It wasn't really much of a match. It was just kind of there to further the storyline, so I'm not going to really be harsh on it. Next up, we had the Intercontinental Championship Four Corners elimination match between the champion Road Dogg Jesse James and the challengers Ken Shamrock, Val Venus, and Goldust, who had the Blue Meanie, and Ryan Shamrock, who was supposed to be Ken Shamrock's little sister. And this was a really weird layout because there were two guys in the ring and the other guys had to like tag in and out. But it was a singles match. I don't know why it was tags. It was very odd. But yeah. This was actually really solid, good action in here. Val Venus was a real workhorse in this match. He took a lot of offense and he looked really good. Kind of forgot how good that guy was. And yeah, very solid action. Eventually, Val Venus and Shamrock are both counted out when they brawl to the outside, and Shamrock's beating him down, and then he tries to run back to the ring and double count out. So we're left with just Goldust and Road Dogg, and there's a good back and forth, and then it comes down to Ryan Shamrock goes to grab what she thinks is going to be Road Dogg's leg, but it's Goldust's leg, so she ends up costing him the match when Goldust goes for a power slam on a running Road Dogg, but Road Dogg rolls through into a roll up. So Goldust is really mad and dumps Shamrock and just walks off with the Blue Meanie. And Road Dogg retains his title. So, pretty good match. Nothing special again. Kind of like a theme for this card. Very, like, middle of the road. But, you know, it was alright for what it was. Good match. But not there. Just not enough. Next up, we have Kane versus Triple H. And part of the build-up was to this match was that China turned on Triple H to join the corporation, and she signed it with Kane. So she and Kane are kind of like a thing now. And oh my God, here comes that chicken again. The chicken is back, and it attacks Kane, and it's Pete Rose! Oh my God, Pete Rose is such a good sport. He takes another tombstone from Kane 2 years in a row. Wow, what a good sport. I love it. I just love it. And, you know, Kane gets attacked again by Triple H, who comes out from the crowd during his entrance and low blows Kane right before the bell. Then the match starts, and Kane dominates anyway. He even hits this, like, diving splash over the top rope to Triple H, which looked awesome. You know, this was very solid action. A little bit slow, because Kane hadn't really 100% come into his own yet. But he was, you know, he was trying, and Triple H was doing his best to guide him. So, decent action. Chyna ends up finally coming down to the ring at some point, and she actually throws the steel steps in the ring for Kane to use, which backfires on Kane when Triple H ends up, like, doing a drop toe hold, and Kane falls into it. And so, Triple H is able to take control finally. And then Chyna ends up turning on Kane and hitting Kane with his steel chair and causing the DQ. So Kane wins by DQ, but Triple H is able to pedigree Kane onto a steel chair, and he and Chyna hug and walk away together, reunited. So it was a pretty good angle. Good. It was a solid match. Good angle. We're gonna see where this goes going forward. So pretty good. Next up, we had the women's championship match between Sable and Tori. Don't watch this. This is like almost Giant Gonzalez versus Undertaker bad. This is really bad. Just really awkward and sloppy action. And Sable kept, like, really awkwardly gyrating. I don't know what she was doing. I guess she was, like, trying to play off how attractive she is and how the crowd wanted her to be. But it was just, ugh. It was just bad. No. Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't watch this. So there was a ref bump, and then some really weird big woman named Nicole Bass came out and attacked Tori. And then Sable hit her with a Sable bomb and pinned her when the ref finally came to. And a horrible match. Sable was not a wrestler, and she didn't have other really solid wrestlers around her to help this time. So this absolutely gets a rotten. I cannot unsee this. I wish I could. Next up, we have the European Championship match between Shane McMahon with Test versus X-Pac. And this was very Attitude Era. Such a typical Attitude Era match. Lots of shenanigans, lots of just different things going on. And it was really fun. Good back and forth. You know, X-Pac dominated most of the match, and a lot of Shane's offense was after getting helped by other people, which really is probably how Shane McMahon ideally should be handled, and was handled perfectly back then. The Mean Street Posse, Shane McMahon's good friends, were at ringside. They were like in the crowd, so like they got involved a little bit, and X-Pac was dominating, and then Test got involved and hit him when the ref wasn't paying attention. And then X-Pac gets control again, and he gets thrown into the crowd with the Mean Street Posse, and they beat him up a little bit, and then they throw him out. So, really good balance, lots of fun stuff going on. And then finally, X-Pac is just dominating. It's the Bronco Buster. He's getting ready to put Shane away. And then Triple H and Chyna come out, seemingly to even the odds and make sure that nobody can get involved. And Chyna distracts the ref, and Triple H pedigrees X-Pac, turning on him and turning on D-Generation X to join the corporation. And he puts Shane on top of X-Pac for the 1-2-3. Shane retains the European title, and Triple H and Chyna have turned on DX. It was really good. I really enjoyed this match and angle. I'm going to give it a glorious. It was just a lot of fun, and definitely one of the bright spots of the night for me. Next up, we have a very infamous match. The Hell in a Cell match between The Undertaker with Paul Bearer, yet again, he's back, versus the Big Boss Man. Was there ever a more lackluster wrestler in the Attitude Era than the Big Boss Man? Thunder. They know I'm talking about The Undertaker. Wow. And, yeah, this was not good. I mean, I'm going to say that Undertaker at least tried, but there's not much that could have been done. Boss Man was a lot better when he was younger, when he was bigger, actually, surprisingly. But he's very lackluster in his Attitude Era run. And they just didn't really do anything you would expect in a Hell in a Cell match. You know, they threw each other to the walls and stuff, but that you could do that in like just any cage match or whatever. It's just not that exciting. And it was weird. Bossman actually handcuffed Taker to the cell wall, and he punched him, or he hit him with something. He hit him with a nightstick, and Undertaker fell down, and then the handcuff just broke immediately. So it was like pointless. And the two even got busted open in this match, and it added nothing to the match. It was a very lackluster match. Undertaker wins in like pretty short match with a tombstone, in what I'm going to say is probably the worst Hell in a Cell match of all time. And I mean, that doesn't necessarily make it one of the worst matches I've ever seen, because Hell in a Cell matches are generally pretty good. But alright, I'm sorry, Undertaker. I can't help it. I didn't even talk about the worst part yet. After the match, the Brood comes down from the rafters. And you know what? I absolutely love the Brood. Always have. I always used to pretend that I was either Edge or Gangrel when I was a kid. Those are my favorite guys. Sorry, Christian, I love you too, but I just like those two better. And, they come down and they lower a noose into the ring. Oh my god. And Undertaker ties Boss Man into the noose. And Paul Bearer raises the cell. And they hang Big Boss Man. Oh god. This is just in poor taste. It was so bad. Whose idea was this? Please don't do things like this. Definitely a horrible idea. Bad execution. Just not good. I'm sorry, Undertaker. I take it back. I don't really take it back. It was bad. And finally, we come to the main event, the WWF Championship match between the champion The Rock versus his challenger, Stone Cold Steve Austin. And actually, before the match, Vince McMahon came out and declared himself the special guest ref for the match. And then Shawn Michaels' music hit, and he's the commissioner at this point. And he tells him, nope, he will not be the ref because it's not up to Vince, it's up to Shawn. And Shawn bars the corporation from ringside and tells Vince that there will just be a normal referee and he doesn't want anyone involved. He said Vince can come out still, but that's it. And man, I love the Big Eagle Championship. This is probably my favorite WWF title of all time. So I was really glad to see it here. It had a pretty short run, but it was so beautiful. And man, this was such a fun match. Just non-stop action, non-stop fun, pure Attitude Era. There were like 3 or 4 ref bumps. It was just crazy. These two have tremendous chemistry, and they brawled all over the arena. They beat the hell out of each other. They just went crazy on each other. Great stuff. I definitely implore you to watch this. They had 3 WrestleMania huge matches together. I think this one's probably the most overlooked, but it was fantastic. This is where The Rock really came into his own as a performer, in my opinion, and he hit a rock bottom out of nowhere. Austin kicks out. Then he gets hit with a stunner and he sells it like a champ. Oh my god, I just can't say enough good things about this match. Eventually, after about 3 ref bumps, and the third one being caused by Vince McMahon himself, Mankind finally comes out. He's back from the hospital, and he comes out as a rightful referee. He beats up McMahon, and here we go. We get a stunner, and the 1, 2, 3, and Stone Cold Steve Austin is the WWF champion. Great match. Absolutely a glorious for me. Excellent way to end the show. What a main event. If you haven't seen this one, go back and watch it. I would say that aside from this match and the European title match, it was a pretty lackluster WrestleMania. But what can you do? You know, we're starting to really get some great matches in there. Austin and The Rock killed it. I can't wait to see them do it again 2 more times. But we're really getting there, guys. The quality is starting to really go up on everything. So I'm really getting excited. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please subscribe to us here on YouTube. Like and comment on the videos. And follow us on Twitter at Deep Six Wrestling. Like us on Facebook at Deep Six Wrestling. And have a glorious day.